Hi everyone, it's Professor Greta Kishbaugh. Thank you again for tuning into the podcast. We continue our series on transitioning to online education and teaching. We just had an announcement for our area that public schools in the county will be closed until the end of the summer. So students will not be heading back to the classroom. So what I'll try to do is maybe get a couple of teachers from some of the schools, our local schools, to talk about their challenges and how they're going to go ahead and manage the rest of the year. Colleges have already put the virtual education online through the summer. And today I talk with Rachel Bennett. Rachel Bennett is our president of our Center for Education and Teaching and Learning at St. Petersburg College. That is the educational portion of our college that helps faculty. So I wanted to interview Rachel and get an idea of some of the suggestions that she has for faculty who are making this transition online. Today I have Rachel Bennett, and she is our CETL, that's our teaching and learning group, and she's also a law professor. So she has experience in both teaching online and now teaching the teachers. So hi Rachel, how are you doing? Hanging in there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You know, I keep joking that my furry coworkers are probably the best and the worst part of this whole situation. So,
and your dogs.
yes.
So most of us are working at home. So really, what I want, if you can just take a second and tell me a little bit about what you're doing now, and then I'll ask you a question. So introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I'm Rachel Bennett. I'm the academic director for CETL at St. Petersburg College, which is the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. And essentially in that role, I handle coordinating all of our professional development opportunities and some quote unquote training, right? Nobody likes using that word anymore, but training for faculty and some academic related staff. And so my background, I was a commercial litigator, but at the same time I worked as an adjunct faculty member for paralegal studies. And then I came on full time with them, doing that. It's been a while. I think 10 years now.
Wow.
9 or 10. So, and so teaching has always been my passion. I really enjoy it. And in my current role, it's really, really cool to be able to talk to other teachers about teaching, right? It's kind of the best of all worlds, in my opinion. So part of what I've been doing in response to trying to help all of our faculty get online is having a simple conversation that if we were teaching people how to build an online course or how to teach a fully online course, we would be having a different conversation, right? Because that's a different process. It's more complex. It requires a different skill set. But what we're really talking about is bridging that gap, helping faculty who are accustomed to being in the classroom face-to-face shift what they're doing into an online format. And a really simple example of that is I teach both. I teach both face-to-face and online. When I'm in a face-to-face class, I'm accustomed to being able to do sort of that housekeeping piece, right? Where you're like, okay, here's what's due, here's what's coming next, here's what you need to read in class with my students. And when you're teaching online, you kind of have to think about sending that in an email or putting that in the news feed. So I think for me, a lot of what we're trying to help our face-to-face faculty see are sort of these simple little things that you need to do in this transition to online. You know, I think we tend to go to the big picture lectures and the complicated stuff, but really I think we have to focus on the little stuff too, that we're able to do the same, accomplish the same task, but different method.
Right. So communication right now, and we were talking about this earlier, communication is key. Get out to the students, be in the classroom. The Teaching Online book I read, James Lang, that's one of the first things he talks about is making sure you're communicating with your student. And that's where we are right now. Letting everybody know, take a deep breath.
Yes.
Here's what you need to stay on task. And that's a struggle. So what are you telling some of our instructors then who are coming to you now and getting help? What are you doing to help them?
So one of the first things I do is I just kind of ask them to describe to me, what do you normally do in this particular face-to-face class? And just tackle it one class at a time, right? I think that can be another sort of sand trap, is to think about what am I going to do for the rest of the semester? And that's too overwhelming. So, okay, I would normally lecture for 45 minutes and I would put students in small groups, have them go over this scenario and then report out. Great. We can record a lecture or we can set up a Zoom session for that lecture piece. And then you can either, do the think, pair, share in Zoom where you put the students in breakout rooms and they come back, or you could transition that into a discussion forum. So I think it's really kind of about, it's almost like a language translation, right? Where you're saying, this is what I would normally do. How can I accomplish those same goals online? So that's one thing. Another thing that's kind of been a hot topic is testing, right? Faculty want to make sure we maintain the integrity of our testing, especially since SPC at this time has decided to not go to pass-fail, but to maintain grades calculations. We want to make sure we're upholding the rigor and the standards that our students are accustomed to. And so I've talked to faculty about getting away from multiple choice tests potentially and turning them into short answer or short essay.
Okay.
Because the authenticity of your students will be easier to see in those short answers than multiple choice. One of the other things is with regard to testing is thinking about the amount of time that you allow students to take a quiz. If you give them an unlimited amount of time, they're going to take as much time as they want. Right. And they're going to look up answers and they're going to research and all that good stuff. So limiting time is another great way to do that. The other thing I've really talked about with faculty in terms of assessment is getting away from these high stakes assignments, right? So sometimes we look at a semester and we say, I'm going to give a test every 4 weeks of this 16-week semester, and those 4 tests together are worth 60% of the student's overall grade. That's a lot of pressure.
That is.
In an environment when people are really stressed, not just about school, but about family and finances and what's going on in the world and all these other things. So I've strongly encouraged some of the faculty I've talked to reduce the weight, right? Not get rid of it, but maybe give 8 quizzes instead of 4, or, kind of spread out those points a little bit and give your students a little bit more of an opportunity to sort of slow down and not be so pressurized.
Okay. So then spread it out a little bit as opposed to, I think if you can spread it out a little bit, then what you're doing is keeping them engaged then through the course. Absolutely. Instead of saying, okay, I'll talk to you in 4 weeks, do all your studying, here are your tests every 4 week, fourth week.
Right.
Here's I understand. Yeah. Spreading it out. That's a great idea.
And you can do the same with writing assignments as well, right? So I have a faculty member I've talked to that their students do an appellate brief, and it's a big assignment, right? That's a big written document. And it's a pretty good percentage of their grade. So this faculty member decided not to change the points allocation, but rather to have the students turn it in chunks.
Okay.
So, they turn in this portion this week and that portion next week. And that way they're getting feedback, they're getting some direction, and all those points aren't accumulated in one assignment turned in at one time. And I think that's another way you can kind of compromise on spreading, changing the stakes of how important something is, or how weighted it is in terms of a grade.
Like you said, you can still weight it the same. It's still worth 30% of your grade,
right,
but breaking it into maybe sections. And we do that a lot with teams online in our business program. If they have a team assignment, there's deliverables that are due each week within that assignment, just to keep them on track and on top. Well, good. So give me one piece of advice that you can tell teachers right now who are transitioning online. Give me one good piece of advice for them.
Just one.
Okay. Well, for time, we could talk all day.
Find your community. So I've seen people get together on a group on Facebook. I've seen people set up Zoom sessions for happy hour with one another. I've seen people who are using Zoom sessions and they're eating lunch together. I personally can't do that. I can't handle listening to people eat, but you get what I'm saying, right? We're all being isolated even more than we already may have felt. And the truth is we are all facing the same things. So find your group, find your community, stay plugged in with them so that you can kind of see what their challenges are, what their solutions might be. But then also if you reach a critical point, you can say, hey guys, what do I do in this situation? And you've already got a group of folks that you know you can reach out to.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I asked my students to bring their favorite beverage, their favorite morning beverage next Tuesday.
There you go.
We'll see how it goes, because I always have my coffee, and they can always see me drinking my coffee, and they can hear me drinking my coffee. But yeah, so that was 9:30 in the morning. But one girl was on a boat. We were doing a call, and one girl was out on a boat. Yeah, and you know what? It like cheered everybody up because she had the video, and kind of like everybody started giggling and started laughing and breathing.
Yeah. You know, I've been doing some homework on humanizing particularly when we teach online. And one of the things that we know is really effective is just to show students who we are as people. And so there are lots of faculty out there that are, instead of recording formalized videos in a studio or whatever the case might be, they're just using their cell phone and they're showing you their local park or them in their backyards with their critters or whatever the case might be. And that's really a great way to connect with students and let them see you're a real person, you're going through this too, you know, we're all kind of in it together. So
we're in it together. And yeah, don't go out. And I said that in one of my videos, don't go out and buy a studio, you know, don't go get a green screen. Don't put it on that. Don't go crazy. Just if you've got a quiet place, you can close the door. You got laundry in the background. Who cares? Right. We all are just, I'm not feeling like doing laundry right now. I don't know about you. So, well, that's all I needed for you, Rachel. I appreciate it. And I'm going to continue my podcast. I think I have a management podcast and we usually focus on reading books and talking about that kind of stuff. But I think it's really valid right now to get some information out there to educators who are really feeling the pinch, you know. So I appreciate you being my guest, and good luck with everything.
My pleasure.
And I'll put your contact information out for our school, and we'll see if anybody needs you or if you need advice, they can reach you. And hi to your puppies. Say hi to your puppies.
Sadly, they're locked out of the room. They're just that loud.
Yeah, well, that's okay. They just hear you talking. That's the way animals are. You know, they hear us talking. So, all right, Rachel, thank you so much. And
Thanks, Greta. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for tuning in to the podcast. Coming soon, we'll speak to teachers and we'll even interview some students who have been affected by the changes and the transition to online teaching. Have a great day.